91 Chapter 91 The house was struck by lightning, chapter preview. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 3 days later, Baimoyu and Baimoru were excited to head for the Spirit Flower sect. As they left the city, Baimoru glanced back at the Yun family and sneered, Yun Chujiu, sooner or later, I'm going to take you out myself. Just then, a bolt of purple lightning flashed from the sky, striking in the direction of the Yun residence. Ha ha ha. Brother, lightning out of the blue. It looks like Yun Chujiu's finally getting what she deserves. Baimoru burst out laughing. Could just be some random static discharge. Let's go, we don't want to miss registration. Baimoyu said coolly, also looking toward the Yun family. If only it were that easy. Meanwhile, the Yun household was in chaos. Yun Xiao heard the commotion and was about to investigate when housekeeper Ji ran in, frantic. Master. We've got a problem. Purple lightning hit Miss Jiu's place. One of the servants said the bolt was as thick as a kid's arm, that even though Yun Xiao knew Yun Chujiu had a thunder spirit root, he was still worried to hear the lightning was that intense. He and housekeeper Ji hurried to her courtyard. When they got there, a crowd of servants had gathered outside. Yun Xiao was annoyed. They weren't rushing in to help, they were just watching the show. Unforgivable. One servant said nervously, Master, it's not that we don't want to help. We can't. It's impossible. Yun Xiao frowned. Impossible? That's just an excuse. He stopped mid-sentence, seeing what the servant was pointing at, and gaped. Yun Chujiu's house had been split open by the lightning, and the surrounding area was crackling with residual purple energy. Master, Xuanhuan was trying to be brave and run in, but the lightning zapped her as soon as she got close, the servant said, gesturing to the unconscious Xuanhuan. Yun Xiao was sweating bullets with anxiety. Luckily, he knew about Yun Chujiu's thunder spirit root. Maybe this was a blessing in disguise. He could only wait outside. About an hour later, the lingering lightning dissipated. Yun Chujiu yawned, stretched, and walked out. Little Jiu, are you alright? Yun Xiao asked, concerned. I'm fine, never been better. It's just this stray lightning messed up my house and my nap. Yun Chujiu looked disgusted and subtly winked at Yun Xiao. Everyone was stunned, jaws practically on the ground. Miss Jiu, you've got it all wrong. That was lightning. You're lucky to be alive, and you're complaining about your sleep. Catching Yun Chujiu's wink, Yun Xiao coughed a few times. Alright, everyone, back to your duties. Little Jiu, come with me. Yun Chujiu skipped into Yun Xiaotian's study. Yun Xiao closed the door and asked, voice trembling, Little Jiu, what happened? Grandfather, ha ha ha, I leveled up. I'm at the 3rd level of the spirit enhancement realm now. Yun Chujiu said smugly. Yun Xiao held up 3 shaky fingers. Third level. Yun Chujiu nodded. Grandfather, did I break through too little? If I hadn't been in a rush to register at the Spirit Flower sect, and I had cultivated for a bit longer first, I could probably have hit the 4th level. Yun Xiao burst into tears, then threw his head back and laughed. Yun Chujiu was dumbfounded. Oh. Maybe she shouldn't have been so boastful. She just scared the daylights out of her old grandpa. 92 Chapter 92, Confidence, Chapter Preview. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yun Xiao wiped his eyes with his sleeve. Little Jiu, you've really done it. Our Yun family's about to have a real prodigy. Yun Chujiu puffed out her chest and pretended to be modest. Grandfather, a prodigy? Come on. It's only been half a month, and I'm already at the 3rd level of the spirit refinement realm. Big deal, I advanced a couple of levels pretty fast. It's nothing, really. Yun Xiaotian's eye twitched. Is she being modest, or is this just a brag? He wondered. Yun Chujiu kept up the act for a bit, then said, Grandfather, I'm planning to head to the Linghua sect tomorrow. I also want to bring my brothers and sisters. I'll figure out a way to get them into the entrance exam too. Yun Xiao was taken aback. then overjoyed. Little Jiu, are you serious? You really think you can get Chu-yi and the others in too? That he was ecstatic. Even becoming a handyman at the Linghua sect would be a dream come true. The Linghua sect's entrance exam qualifications were super exclusive. A small, powerless family like the Yuns had no chance otherwise. Well, grandfather, I'm just saying it's possible, maybe, probably. Don't get your hopes up too high. Yun Chujiu had thought this through. You can't do everything alone. No matter how strong she was, she couldn't be everywhere at once. But if Yun Chu and the others got stronger too, nobody in the Yun family would mess with them. Yun Chujiu had confidence in herself. As for qualifying for the test, she'd wing it. Great. Fantastic. Even if they don't make it, just seeing the world will be good for them. I'll call a family meeting right now and see what everyone thinks. Old G. Get moving. Tell everyone to get to the meeting. Anyone who misses it will regret it. Yun Chujiu watched Yun Xiao, who seemed hopped up on something, and felt a little guilty. Grandfather, I was just talking. I'm not actually sure I can pull this off. An hour later, the entire Yun family had crammed into the hall. Everyone figured something big was happening. Even Yun Chuer, who was always out and about, had been dragged back by Yun Xiaobo. Yun Chushan even thought Yun Chujiu had been struck by lightning. Seeing everyone was there, Yun Xiao cleared his throat and announced, Little Jiu's master gave her a test token for the Linghua sect. Tomorrow, Little Jiu will be heading there for the entrance exam. The room erupted. The Linghua sect? Wow! No wonder Elder Su was scared off by Little Jiu's master. Her master must be really powerful. I knew it. Little Jiu's gotten way better. She must have had some serious training. Exactly. That's how she took down by Moru in one move. Little Jiu was hiding something. Yun Chushan clenched her fists under her sleeves, not even noticing her nails digging into her skin. What right does she have? She fumed. How can a good-for-nothing like Yun Chujiu have it so easy? She's a nobody, but she gets treated like the patriarch's favorite. She's useless, but she got taken in by some expert. Now, she gets to take the Linghua sect exam. It's not fair, the compliments grated on her. She said softly, Little Jiu, it's great you got a chance to try out for the Linghua sect, but, you don't have any spiritual power. How are you going to pass? Yun Xiao was about to tell everyone that Little Jiu could cultivate, but Yun Chujiu shot him a look. Then, she said with a worried expression, Third sister, you've got a point. What should I do? 93 Chapter 93 Fooling Little Lotus, Chapter Preview. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yun Chushan's eyes gleamed. Getting that Linghua faction test slot wasn't a walk in the park, so we can't just let it go to waste. How about we find someone more capable to take the test for you? More capable? Who, like Go, our older brother? Yun Chujiu asked, fidgeting with her clothes. Yun Chi quickly waved his hands. No way, Little Jiu. This is your opportunity. I can't just take it from you. Yun Chushan jumped in. Little Jiu, your brother is out. We need a girl to take your place. Yun Chujiu clapped her hands. Third sister, you're a genius. So, you want to. Even though Yun Chushan tried to play it cool, she couldn't hide her excitement. Just as she was about to pretend to decline, Yun Chujiu kept talking. Actually, never mind. Third sister, you're getting kind of old. Let's have fifth sister take my place instead. Yun Chushan nearly fainted. Are you doing this on purpose? She thought. And who are you calling old? She was only 17. Yun Chu was just a year younger. Yun Chu was about to decline when Yun Chuki nudged her, and she clammed up. Ever since the incident in the Beast Forest, Yun Chuki had cut ties with Yun Chushan and gotten closer to Yun Chu. Yun Chujiu looked at Yun Chuki, impressed. Wow, seventh sister's pretty sharp. Grandfather, it's settled. Fifth sister goes in my place. I'm out. We're sisters, so it's the same difference. Yun Chujiu told Yun Xiao, grinning. Yun Xiao, being the old fox he was, immediately picked up on Yun Chujiu's angle. A light bulb went off in his head. Actually, this is good. Time to test everyone's true colors. Alright, then Chuo will go. No one objected, except Yun Xiaobo. Hold on. That's not fair. Why does Chuo get to go instead of Yun Chujiu? If we're doing this, shouldn't Xuanhuan go first? Grandfather, please. Chuo and Little Jiu are cousins, which makes them family. How could I compare? Yun Chujiu said, acting like a damsel in distress. Yun Xiaobo was furious. Family head, the Yun family's supposed to be one unit. How can you treat us differently? It's not right. Yun Chujiu narrowed her eyes. This second elder is a dummy, and this fake flower is clearly manipulating him. I'll take that away, so she don't get involved at home. Yun Xiao couldn't help but smile. Close or distant relatives? Second brother, I can say that I've always treated everyone fairly here. Look at this case, the token's originally Little Jiu's. She's the one who gets to decide. But Little Jiu always thinks about her family. She suggested we bring our younger siblings to participate in the test. Before I could even say anything, you and Xuanhuan start all this drama, so it is so disappointing. Yun Xiaobo was speechless, his face red with embarrassment. Big brother, I was just getting ahead of myself. Little Jiu, sure, Little Jiu's a good kid. Yun Chujiu's eye twitched. This second elder's got some nerve. No wonder he's never punished, even after causing problems so many times. Second elder, elders, everyone, don't praise me just yet. Actually, grandfather's not entirely right. Usually, the token only gets me into the test. I brought everyone along hoping to get lucky, see if there's a chance. But, heads up, the odds aren't great. Yun Chujiu was no dummy. She laid out the worst-case scenario to avoid complaints later. Little Jiu, it's enough to see the spectacle. Don't worry, sixth brother won't blame you if it works out or not. Exactly. We all have eyes, unlike some people who can't recognize kindness when they see it. Yun Chuki said sharply. Yun Chujiu's face burned, and she hated Yun Chuki even more. 94 Chapter 94, Write a Letter to the Gigolo, Chapter Preview. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The whole Yun family was head over heels for Yun Chujiu now. They'd completely forgotten her past mishaps and were singing her praises like she was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Yun Chujiu volunteered to stay behind. Partly because his talent wasn't anything special, partly because he was getting on in years, and partly because the family needed someone to hold down the fort. Yun Chujiu wasn't going anywhere either. Why would he leave the good life in Qi City? Food, drinks, what was there to gain from the Linghua sect? Besides, even if he went, he wouldn't get picked. Why put himself through the trouble? Yun Chujiu was too young to go, so he threw a fit, even sneaking in a few cries. It wasn't until Yun Chujiu promised him a bunch of outrageous deals that he finally cracked a smile. Finally, the group was set. Yun Chujiu, 17, Yun Chuzi, 17, Yun Chu, 16, Yun Chulu, 16, Yun Chuki, 15, and Yun Chuba, 15. Yun Chujiu even had the second level of spirit enhancement. Yun Chujiu counted on her fingers. Sweet. Including me, that's 7. Are we talking about collecting 7 Dragon Balls and summoning Xuanhuan here? She put her hands behind her back and said, with a serious tone, look, you're all my siblings, but when we're out there, what I say goes. If you've got a problem with that, stay home. Also, out of the 7 of us, I'm the youngest and the weakest. So, you all need to look after me and protect me on the road. No complaining, be my personal bodyguards. The Yun family members were starting to rethink all those nice things they'd been saying about her. This girl was nothing but a lazy, food-obsessed freeloader. With the arrangement settled, Yun Chujiu dismissed the meeting. He told the group to go home and pack, but asked Yun Chujiu to stay behind. Little Jiu, take these silver ingots and gold bars. Be careful out there. Yun Chujiu handed her a heavy bundle. Since the Linghua sect wasn't in Donghua Nation territory, silver certificates wouldn't work, so she had to bring hard currency. Yun Chujiu didn't refuse. She took the bundle, chatted with Yun Chujiu for a bit, and then headed back to her courtyard. Housekeeper Ji had already sent someone to patch the hole in the roof. Xuanhuan was awake and busy cleaning the place. Xuanhuan, bring me the silver certificate box. Xuanhuan looked confused, but quickly went inside and handed over the box. Xuanhuan, I'm heading to the Linghua sect tomorrow. Take these silver certificates. If you want to stay with the Yun family, stay. If you don't, then take some of these to buy your freedom. Yun Chujiu took out 10,000 taels of silver certificates and handed them to Xuanhuan, then stuffed the rest in her pocket. Xuanhuan was stunned. At first, she was reluctant to part with them, but then she was overcome with emotion. Miss, I was only sold for 50 taels of silver. This is way too much. Besides, I don't have any family left. I'll stay here and look after this courtyard, waiting for you to come back. Yun Chujiu chuckled. Silly girl, your miss here is definitely getting into the Linghua sect this time. When that happens, I might only be able to come back every few years. Besides, aren't you going to get married? Xuanhuan blushed. Miss, I'm not leaving the Yun family, either way. Alright. You can find a good guy from the Yun family to marry. This money can be your dowry. Yun Chujiu might be greedy, but she was generous to those she cared about. Xuanhuan's face turned even redder, and she excused herself to pack Yun Chujiu's luggage and ran off. Yun Chujiu pouted. Aiyo, Xuanhuan is so sensitive. If I didn't have thick skin, that pretty boy instructor would have slapped me into next week. Speaking of which, I wonder if he'll be mad after I leave. I should probably leave him a note. 95 Chapter 95 The first letter Xiao Jiu wrote to the Supreme Emperor, Chapter Preview. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yun Chujiu sighed. If she wasn't worried that the pretty boy would take his anger out on the Yun family, she wouldn't have bothered writing him such a complicated letter. She was dying to just sneak away. She needed to find a chance to make him promise he'd leave her family alone. Yun Chujiu grabbed her brush and dashed off a letter to Fengming, that my dearest Prince Charming, your words are a treasure. Although I long for you with the force of a raging river, I've decided to go to the Linghua sect to improve myself and become even more worthy of you. I know you'll be upset. After all, why would I need the Linghua sect when I have such an amazing and powerful master like you? But hear me out. First, you're always busy and can't always give me guidance. Plus, you said that a thunder spiritual root can easily go haywire. So, for the sake of my own skin, I need to try my luck at the Linghua sect. Second, I hear the Linghua sect teaches everything, talismans, alchemy, formations, weapon crafting. To love you better, I'm determined to become a woman of many talents. That's the only way I can beat back all those flirty cheese and vixens trying to steal you away. Third, the world is calling. I need to see it all. My dearest Prince Charming, words can't express my affection. My love for you runs deep. If you miss me, come visit me at the Linghua sect. Forever yours, Little Jiu. Years months days. After finishing, Yun Chujiu reread the letter, beaming with pride. Wow, my writing is just too good. So elegant and cool. This pretty boy is going to be blown away. Yun Chujiu sealed the letter in an envelope and wrote, to be opened only by my Prince Charming. She put the envelope on the table and held it down with a ruler. Xuanhuan, my master might come looking for me in about 2 weeks. Give him this letter. He has a terrible temper, so make sure he gets it. Otherwise, he'll probably tear down the Yun family. Xuanhuan nodded eagerly. Looking at the envelope, she asked hesitantly, Miss, why did you write personal revelation of a male god? Shouldn't it be personal revelation of a benefactor? Yun Chujiu coughed. Well, my master is male, right? So, male is accurate. And he's super powerful, so calling him a god isn't a stretch, is it? Put them together, and you get male god. Xuanhuan nodded slowly, still confused. What the miss said made sense, but something still felt off. Yun Chujiu slipped back into her bedroom, worried about her little dead bird. Xiao had been hibernating, so she had to take him with her. The problem was how? In a box. She didn't want to suffocate him again. Finally, Yun Chujiu asked Xuanhuan to sew a small cloth satchel that could be worn across the chest. They put a few air holes in it and lined the inside with soft cotton, then carefully placed Xiao inside. The next morning, when everyone gathered, Yun Chujiu's eccentric style was on full display. She had a giant sack slung over her shoulder, a colorful little pouch in front, and a copper wash basin in each hand. Yun Xiaotian's eye twitched. Xiao Jiu, what's in that bag? And why are you carrying copper basins? Grandpa, we're traveling, so we have to be prepared. My bag is full of essentials, like salt, pepper, sugar, everything. And these basins are for cooking, of course. Actually, Yun Chujiu was killing two birds with one stone. They could cook with the basins and use them to absorb lightning. Yun Xiaotian choked, wanting to argue, but he swallowed his words. Is little Jiu going to take an entrance exam, or just go on vacation? Oh well. Even if she fails, he'll feel better having her around. 96 Chapter 96 The Little Wild Horse That Got Loose, Chapter Preview. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Following the Yun family's instructions, Yun Chujiu and the others hopped on their horses and rode off, putting on a brave face, and Feng, stuck in the background, was practically having a meltdown watching them disappear. What was with this sudden urge for the ninth miss to visit the Linghua sect? It came out of nowhere. And to top it off, this blasted voice transmission talisman was busted. This was going to be the death of him. Why did everything go sideways the second he crossed paths with this wild card? If, in 2 weeks, His Excellency arrived to find the ninth miss missing, oh God, the fallout would be catastrophic. What was he supposed to do? After a brief internal struggle, Feng quickly scrawled a message under a roof tile and added a secret mark, before discreetly tailing Yun Chujiu and the others. His job was to protect Miss Jiu, after all. As for His Majesty, all he could do was pray this powerful man wouldn't level Yi City in a rage. Yun Chujiu, oblivious to Feng's worries, was in her element. First, she loaded up on pastries at the bakery, then moved on to the deli for a mountain of prepared foods, and finally, hit up the general store for a huge bag of candied fruit. Yun Chujiu couldn't help but roll her eyes. She wanted to make a snide remark, but Yun Chujiu and Yun Chuki were giving her the cold shoulder. She could only fume silently. Glutton. Lazy bum. Useless. With her snack secured, Yun Chujiu popped into the pharmacy for some basic medicinal herbs. Then, with a wave of her hand, she announced, "Let's get out of town." That once they cleared the city limits, Yun Chujiu transformed into a runaway train. She was all about showing off, picking wildflowers on the roadside. Grabbing wild berries. Checking out the cute guys. Unfortunately, between Yun Chujiu's dark complexion and her flashy little coin purse, the passers-by gave her a wide berth, like she was some kind of monster. Nobody approached her. Yun Chujiu grumbled, Xiao He, because of you, I'm missing out on all these hotties. When you wake up, you're gonna get it. Whatever, these people have no taste. They're not even as good-looking as a boy band. Who cares? Humph. Yun Chujiu, riding beside her, frowned. Xiao Jiu, what are you muttering about? Did I just hear something about hotties and a boy band? Are you reverting to your old ways? Yun Chujiu batted her eyelashes innocently. Fifth sister, you must have misheard. I was talking about rabbits and squirrels. I'm a little hungry and I was thinking about hunting some rabbits. Yun Chujiu eyed her suspiciously and warned, Little Jiu, we're going along with you this time, but if you step out of line, I won't let it slide. Sister to sister. Yun Chujiu pulled in her neck, feigning fear. Fifth sister, relax. I promise to behave. Even though Yun Chujiu was talking the talk, everything was new and exciting to her. They didn't cover much ground in a day, plus, she had a wad of cash on her. They were definitely going to stay in a fancy inn, where every meal would be a feast. It was also Yun Chujiu and the others' first long trip. They were young and looking to have fun, so they mostly let Yun Chujiu call the shots. The Linghua sect wasn't that far from Yi City. A flying spirit tool would get them there in a day, but Yun Chujiu and company would need at least 2 weeks on horseback. After they crossed the Donghua nation's borders, Yun Chujiu noticeably tightened the purse strings. Silver notes weren't widely accepted in other countries. They had to spend gold and silver. The closer they got to the Linghua sect, the more different the towns felt compared to Yi City. The spiritual qi was noticeably richer, and the people were more skilled. The Yun siblings, who stood out in Yi City, were now pretty ordinary. And now, Yun Chujiu and the others were facing a serious problem. They were running out of money and would soon be hungry. 97 Chapter 97, Chapter Preview. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As they neared the Spirit Flower sect, gold and silver became practically worthless. Everyone started trading with spirit pearls and spirit stones. 1 spirit pearl fetched about 10 taels of gold, but it'd only buy you 2 measly meat buns. Even though they downgraded from fancy meals to simple steamed buns and boiled water, their stash of gold and silver was still dwindling fast. Yun Chujiu and the group considered catching some demon beasts to sell or eat, but the nearest demon beast forest was almost 2 days away. A round trip that took way too much time. Finally, Yun Chujiu had the bright idea to sell a couple of their horses, netting them 3,000 spirit pearls. That solved the food problem, at least for a while. Yun Chujiu did some quick calculations. They could probably make it to the Spirit Flower sect if they were super frugal, but their standard of living was definitely taking a nosedive. The food was basic, and they were often crammed into just 2 rooms for the night. Finally, they arrived at Linghua City, nestled at the foot of Spirit Flower Mountain. The city was bustling with people, not just those trying out for the sect, but also their friends and family who'd come along for support. Every inn and restaurant in Linghua City was packed, and the prices were outrageous. Yun Chujiu and her group managed to snag 2 rooms in a rundown inn, settling in for the time being. Even though they were strapped for cash, everyone was buzzing with excitement. They'd seen things on the way that they never could have imagined back in Yi City. This trip was already eye-opening. The next day, Yun Chujiu suggested they head to the Spirit Flower sect's registration area. They wanted to check out the process and get the lay of the land. The registration site was at the base of the mountain, a short walk from Linghua City. They left the horses behind and strolled over. As they walked, the Yun family members caught more than a few scornful glances. Ugh, look at those hicks. They look like they've never seen civilization. Totally. Wearing plain clothes, not even a single spirit tool. Talk about broke. And they're not exactly spring chickens. Look at their cultivation levels. What are they even doing here? Even if they register, they have no chance of getting in. Forget passing the test, they probably don't even meet the minimum requirements. That dark-skinned girl doesn't even have any spirit energy. If I were them, I wouldn't show my face. Speaking of that girl, what's with the weird bag she's carrying? Is that a sandwich in there? Ha! Ha, with their budget, they definitely can't afford a storage bag. They're lucky to have a sack. Even my servants are richer than them. Yun Chujiu and the others overheard the chatter and, comparing themselves to the others' fancy attire and cultivation levels, started to feel self-conscious and awkward. Yun Chujiu frowned, her face hardening. She shot the Yun family members a disapproving look. Guys, cultivation is all about defying the odds, constantly pushing yourselves and overcoming challenges. Are you seriously letting a few catty remarks get to you? We can't choose where we come from, but we can work harder and be better than anyone else. We might not be rich, but we have to have faith in ourselves. Stand tall, heads held high. Yun Chujiu's words hit them like a bucket of cold water. Shame washed over them. They weren't even as strong as Little Jiu. She could hold her head high without any spiritual power, so why couldn't they? They immediately straightened their backs, replacing their timidity with calm confidence. The Yun siblings were already good-looking, well, except for little Jiu, cough, cough, and now, with their newfound attitude, they looked every bit as impressive as the others, maybe even a little more badass. Yun Chujiu mentally gave herself a pat on the back. I'd give myself 100 points, but I don't want it to go to my head. 98 Chapter 98 Aiyo, you can do this? Chapter Preview. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After that, the gossips, clearly embarrassed, made a few snide remarks and clammed up. Yun Chujiu, using her small size to her advantage, elbowed her way through the crowd. Finally, she reached the front and saw several people in Linghua sect robes sitting behind a long table. There were two ways to register: either you presented a registration token, or you took a test on the spot. The test requirements, though, were brutal. Yun Chujiu took one look and saw that 16 and 17-year-olds needed to be at the 6th level of spirit enhancement, and 14 and 15-year-olds needed to be at the 5th level. Yun Chujiu frowned. No one in the Yun family met those requirements. If they went by the book, they didn't stand a chance. She could use Elder Son's token to sign herself up, but what about Yun Chujiu and the others? Was she really going to drag them all this way for nothing? Yun Chujiu slipped out of the crowd and told them what she'd seen. Even though Yun Chujiu and the others had braced themselves, they couldn't help but feel let down. Yun Chujiu shot Yun Chujiu a dirty look, thinking she was taking advantage of the situation by holding on to that token. Although the Yun family couldn't hide their disappointment, they figured they were already there, so they might as well watch the show. Opportunities like this were rare. Yun Chujiu's brain was working overtime. How could she get Yun Chujiu and the others registered, too? Looking for Elder Son? Forget it. Not just anyone could waltz into the Linghua sect, and Elder Son was a big shot. Even if she could pull some strings to see him, it would take too long. By then, it would be too late. What about roughing up the registration people and forcing them to sign everyone up? Okay, scratch that. Aside from the fact that she couldn't win a fight, attacking the Spirit Flower sect's property was a death wish. Bribing them? Please. She was so broke she was selling horses. She didn't have any spirit pearls or spirit stones to grease their palms. Just as Yun Chujiu was racking her brain, a small commotion broke out nearby. You only have one registration token, so only one of you can sign up. The other one doesn't qualify. Please move along. Senior, Elder Xiao only had one token left. We're siblings, so please, make an exception. Yun Chujiu paused. That voice. Wasn't that the white trash? Yun Chujiu squeezed to the front for a better look. Sure enough, it was Bai-Moyu. What were they doing here? The registration disciple looked at Bai-Moyu. Elder Xiao. Which Elder Xiao are we talking about? Xiao Pancher from West Peak. Bai-Moyu met Elder Xiao a few days ago. He originally gave them 2 tokens, but Bai-Moyu was out shopping and got one snatched. The Bai siblings were afraid of being blamed by Elder Xiao, so they didn't dare ask for another token. They figured they'd try to bluff their way through first. If they made it in, then they wouldn't have to face Elder Xiao at all. The registration disciple saw the word Xiao on the back of the token and hesitated. He happened to be a disciple from West Peak. Elder Xiao was the head of the law enforcement hall there, famous for being a hard ass. Best not to cross him. This was just a registration. Even if they got in, they still had to pass the test. He might as well do them a solid. Fine. Go over there and get your test jade token. The disciple waved them through, indicating that Bai-Moyu had made it. Yun Chujiu's eyes lit up. Wait, you can do that? Yun Chujiu hopped in front of the disciple and handed over the registration token that Elder Son had given her. 99 Chapter 99, Fengming, Chapter Preview. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The disciple took the token and gave Yun Chujiu the once-over, his brow furrowed. This dark-skinned girl clearly didn't have any spiritual power. How did she get a registration token? Oh well, less trouble was better. As long as she had the token, he was covered. Head over there and get your test jade token. The disciple said, sounding annoyed. All right. You guys, let's go get our test jade tokens. Yun Chujiu waved her little hand, motioning for Yun Chujiu and the others to join her. Yun Chujiu and the others were a bit confused, but they walked over anyway. The disciple got impatient. Hey, I said you go get your test jade token alone. Do they even have tokens? If not, they need to be tested first. Yun Chujiu's eyes widened. Dude, my situation is the same as those other guys. Why did they get a pass, but we don't? That the disciple sputtered, embarrassed and angry. Their token was given by Elder Xiao. Elder Xiao is super fair, so he wouldn't cheat. Oh, I don't like where this is going. You're clearly playing favorites. A token from Elder Xiao is fine, but why isn't a token from our middle peak son Bo Zhong and Elder Sun good enough? Yun Chujiu shouted at the top of her lungs. Yun Chujiu was plotting her next move. This guy was trying to take advantage of the situation. She knew from the Demon Beast Forest incident that the 5 peaks of the Linghua sect were secretly competing. She was going to exploit that. She was sure someone from Middle Peak would stand up for her. The disciple in charge of registration was furious at Yun Chujiu's retort, his face turning red. You're talking nonsense. No, it's just, no. Yun Chujiu and the others were scared stiff. Little Jiu had some serious guts. She actually dared to challenge the disciples of the Linghua sect. Yun Chujiu tugged at Yun Chujiu, signaling that it was okay if she couldn't register, but Yun Chujiu got even more worked up, stomping her foot and starting to rant. If you say no, then that's it. Who do you think you are? Fine, I'll just go ask Elder Sunday. Why isn't his token as good as Elder Xiao's? Is our Middle Peak a second-class citizen compared to West Peak or something? That the disciple almost fainted from anger. Being in charge of registration was supposed to be easy. How did he run into such a pesky little girl? This tiny issue was escalating into a conflict between 2 peaks. He'd be ruined if that happened. Just as things were deadlocked, a clear voice echoed from above. Chi Hua, I didn't realize your West Peak was so biased. That's a real eye-opener. Everyone looked up and saw a man in the Linghua sect's inner disciple uniform flying toward them on a sword. He was tall and slender, like bamboo, with long, dark hair fluttering in the wind. He was handsome, with a playful glint in his eyes and a smirk on his face. Yun Chujiu's attention was drawn to his sword tassel. What was with that delicate pink sword tassel? This guy was definitely a flirt. The registration disciple's heart sank. Fengming. Oh no, why did he have to show up? Senior brother Fengming, don't listen to this little girl's nonsense. There's been a misunderstanding, the disciple stammered, trying to explain. Yun Chujiu blinked. When this flirtatious guy said your West Peak, he obviously wasn't a fan. He must be from Middle Peak. Time to turn on the charm. You must be senior brother Fengming, right? I've heard that senior brother Fengming of the Linghua sect is not only incredibly handsome, but also generous and upright. Meeting you today lives up to the hype. Fengming hopped off his flying sword. He was pleased to hear Yun Chujiu's words. Little girl, you really know how to butter someone up. Even if you're telling the truth, there's no need to be so obvious. 100 Chapter 100 Only allowed one person, Chapter Preview. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yun Chujiu grinned, her little white teeth flashing. Hey, Fengming, perfect timing. You be the judge. This guy's letting someone use Elder Xiao's West Peak token, but won't let me use Elder Sun's from Middle Peak. Talk about bullying. Fengming's face turned cold. Chi Hua, what's this all about? If Elder Xiao's token works, why shouldn't this girl's? Yun Chujiu's mind raced. Bingo, she thought. This smooth talker must be from Middle Peak. Chi Hua cursed his luck. Not only had he run into this persistent kid, but also Fengming. How was he going to get out of this mess? Seeing Qi Hua clam up, Fengming doubled down. Qi Hua, just give me a straight answer. Otherwise, I'll drag this little girl to elder son myself. Alright, Fengming, for your sake, fine. Kid, you can bring one person with you. Choose wisely. Qi Hua seethed. Elder son Bo Zhong was notoriously touchy. Even when wrong, he'd make a fuss. If he got involved, things would get really ugly. 1. Yun Chujiu shook her head. Can't do that. These are all my brothers and sisters. I can't leave anyone out. Don't push it, kid. I'm already doing Fengming a favor by letting you bring one. Take it or leave it. Qi Hua sneered. This girl was really out of touch with reality. Using one token to bring 6 people. No way. Yun Chujiu looked at Fengming, who shrugged, clearly unwilling to get further involved. 1 person was reasonable, 6 was just ridiculous. Yun Chujiu and the others figured 1 was the best they could hope for. The only question was who Little Jiu would pick. Yun Chujiu gritted her teeth, sure that Yun Chujiu would choose Yun Chuzi or Yun Chu, leaving her out in the cold. Actually, Yun Chujiu said, he's right. 1 person per token. But Elder Son wasn't the only one on Middle Peak who promised to get me registered. The Peak Master and 3 other elders also were in on it. They just didn't bring their tokens with them. Elder Son was just acting as their representative when he gave me his. The Peak Master and 3 other elders. Don't give me that. You're just some kid with no spiritual energy. What would the Peak Master even want with you? Qi Hua scoffed. He clearly didn't believe a word of it. Pfft. You think those big shots are as clueless as you? About 3 weeks ago, in the demon beast forest of Donghua country, the Peak Master, Elder Son, and the others saw how smart, kind, and cute I was. They not only saved me but wanted to take me back to Spirit Flower sect right then and there. But the Peak Master said the sect has rules, and I had to take the test. Otherwise, I would have begged Elder Son to be my master ages ago. Why would I waste my time with the likes of you? If you don't believe me, ask Elder Son. Yun Chujiu puffed out her chest, all fake arrogance. Qi Hua wavered. It was true that the sect's bigwigs had rushed to Donghua country about 3 weeks ago, something about a 9-colored immortal sparrow. Could what this girl was saying be true? Oh, and if you still don't believe me, ask that guy by Moyu over there. I was an Elder Son's flying spirit tool at the time and even waved to him. Yun Chujiu pointed at Bai Moyu, who was standing nearby.